Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
Good morning, all. I'm here this morning with Melissa Cox, a new friend of mine that I was introduced through a mutual connection in finance. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
We were connected through a mutual contact. And when that mutual contact told me your name was Melissa Cox, I said, that's a hell of a name to be in finance with.
It's a hell of a name, period.
There you go. And he didn't take the bait, to his credit. He let it fall flat, which unnerved me a little bit. But hey, I get it. He had to let it fall flat.
Yeah. Sometimes they do that.
So, yeah, Cox is your maiden name. You didn't give it up. You didn't run away from it when given a chance when you got married.
No, after a while, you learn to embrace things like a name. It makes you who you are.
Absolutely. And you are in finance. We have a very similar profession. We have to lean away from what we do for a living, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it.
Right, yeah.
So that's the goal today. And I looked back on my website to make sure I dot the I's and cross the T's on topics. And this is a topic that I haven't spent much time on with somebody else in finance. Unconscious capitalism we're going to talk about today, in addition to our own experiences as women. When we got on the phone, I don't know, a week or so ago, we had, I felt a spectacular conversation. I'm just so glad to know you. You're a fellow independent. I can't say the firm you're affiliated with, but we can give a hint. You ready for the hint?
Let's go for it.
All right. What did Chris Farley, as a motivational speaker, have down by the river?
He lived in a van down by the river.
And then what's that little orange called that you can peel?
Oh, we buy these for the girls. They're not cuties. They're clementines.
Right. And the first two syllables of that are important. There we go. So I feel certain that was hidden pretty well. Yeah. So as we're having this conversation a week ago, we are connecting on numerous levels. Fair?
Fair. Absolutely fair.
And you were not offended by my Cox joke, and you told me your middle school, what they came up with in middle school. Share that.
Yeah, so I've met a lot of Cox in my life, and so you kind of get used to things. In middle school, they lovingly called me, or maybe not so lovingly, I'm not sure about the hormones of boys at that point, but they nicknamed me Melissa Cox. Yeah, it was mortifying for me at that time, the innocent little sheltered-ish kid that I was.
And your sisters were donned.
Yeah, they didn't escape it either. My younger sister was named Licks Cox, and then my older sister became Scratchin' Cox.
And maybe we shouldn't give their real names, but it's a play on their real names. And then you said your poor mother. She was in healthcare. What'd they do to her?
I don't know if I would call it poor. I think I would kind of call it like the boss Cox, actually. So they nicknamed, or she had the name, the professor of the School of Hard Cocks.
Nice. There you go.
Pretty boss, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Secchi was a tough one. That beats it. So thank you. And you, I asked you to, and this is hard to explain, but I'll get through it. For that man that connected us, after you and I met, I asked you to go back to him and tell him you thought I was an asshole to see what he said. And you said you went back to him, and that fell flat. He didn't take that bait either.
No, he's just too good of a person.
He really is. He's really, really spectacular. There are a lot of good men in finance, but that's not who we're going to make fun of today. Nah. So, talk about your background. Talk about what made you who you are before you got into finance.
Yeah, so I grew up in the 80s in Oak Cliff, and you might not think much of that, but Oak Cliff is one of those places that when you are in the Dallas Metroplex and somebody says Oak Cliff, like they clutch their pearls and they look at you different because it was known for being rough around the edges. You know, it's just definitely not polished. So you're somebody that kind of has to figure out things fast and learn how to hold your own in Oak Cliff. And it's just funny to me now. It's a much different area, but that's where I grew up. You learn to stand up for yourself. You have to learn that names like Malika are going to be armor at some point because you've got to protect yourself and learn that humor. And if you get in front of it, nobody's going to beat you to it. So my mom, she was a nurse. She worked constantly. It was that 7-day, working energy kind of, I would say flex, but I don't think that's so much the flex anymore. My dad was a contractor, so work was never really super steady at that point. And it was just kind of normal for us, and stability really wasn't guaranteed. So we kind of learned how to not take things for granted.
So you've been in Texas essentially your whole life.
I have. I've been in Texas my entire life.
Yeah. One of the, I don't want to steal your thunder. Can you then parlay that into, and I have to mention, Melissa was one of the few people that has given me input for our our episodes together. And when I say input, I'm talking 4 pages. And it's it's great, but it has me a little left to center, which for someone like me, it doesn't take much for me to be left to center. But in your notes for our first session, you mention how this early psychology formulated some foundational things for how you look at finance.
Yeah.
And we both, one of my first questions that I ask a client is, what are your first feelings around money surrounding childhood and upbringing? So we're aligned there. You want to speak to that?
Yeah. So money for me growing up, it came as really kind of confusing and not in the going through puberty, you're not sure what's happening to your body kind of transition. It was watching my mom work the 7 days a week and knowing that she had the idea, as having girls growing up where we did, she wanted to keep us busy. And she wanted us to have the discipline, the responsibility, knowing how to carry ourselves. I mean, she was designing the system for us before we even really knew what was happening, and showing us how to work through this world. So she did things like sign us up for competitive ice skating, and we'd get up at 4 a.m. and go do that. And once we got tired of waking up that early, because when you're teenagers, 4 a.m. doesn't really work, she decided she didn't want us to get pregnant earlier in life, like a lot of people, unfortunately, in the community. So she signed us up for horseback riding.
Oh.
Not a status thing at all. It's not the Instagram barn, gorgeous things with people walking perfectly. It was really so we could learn how to take care of not only ourselves, but learn how to take care of something else. And somewhere in her mind, I guess she decided that working with horses and having a horse would be cheaper
and easier on the hymen.
Yeah, much. Yeah. So, I mean, hindsight was like, so it was this interesting dynamic because she would hand me over the check because she was working. She would hand me the check to take to the barn for, lessons and board and all that stuff. And I'd sit down and talk to her because I didn't get to talk to her a whole lot. And at the same time, she would start literally calculating how long it would take for her to pay off certain debts that she had and by working more hours. And it's like, man, I don't understand. I didn't understand it at that point. I thought it was normal, which it's just strange, and then she'd go through time periods where she would say, we're just one paycheck from homeless. And here I am thinking, well, this is weird. This is really weird. But it sticks with you. So the awareness kind of all things going on really gave me a scarcity mindset growing up. Because you can't sit there at a conversation and hear that you're one paycheck from homeless and be like, all right, yeah, cool. It's fine. So that's really kind of where my mindset came into play, which leads to unhealthy other things like knowing that maybe you don't have as much. So you get into nasty spending habits, and the credit card debt, and debt was just really normal in my family. I mean, Mom put our horse on a credit card at one point, which who does that? Who does that?
Yeah, it seems conflicted because you had two people working.
Yep.
And what was, and I don't know how else to put it than just be blatant about it. So your mother really was the breadwinner. Your father was more intermittent.
He was more intermittent. It's hard to run a contracting business. Things just weren't in the 80s. People weren't just remodeling. It's not like it is now where you can't find a contractor.
Right.
It wasn't as popular,
Did he have more of the home duties? Or were you girls kind of left to your own?
Yeah, he had more of the home duties. My grandmother, who lived a block away, my mom's mom, also stepped in, and she would raise us. And, on Saturdays, we loved going to her house and watching Carol Burnett while eating popcorn and drinking a can of beer that was probably a week old. It was normal for us, and we loved it. We were peas in a pod, and, it's what we did. It was fun.
Where are you in the age order with your sisters?
I am in the middle. My older sister is in her 50s. I will be 47 in 3 days. And then my younger sister is about 3 years younger than I am.
Gotcha. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're a decade younger than I am. Ugh.
But a lot of the same experiences.
Oh, yeah. That's because not much changes in that beautiful F word of ours. But anyway. All right. So then I think, and I'm going off of memory, when you entered college, you were more interested in law than finance?
Yeah. So I didn't really ever know if you would have asked me at age 5 what I wanted to be, it was a geologist because I thought digging for stuff would be really cool. But we are shaped by the people that are around us. So I was not pressured, but I was kind of pushed more into you need to have a really high paying job because that's the way that is. So my mom and a lot of the family really wanted me to go into law, like corporate law.
That's interesting. My mother wanted me to be a lawyer.
Yeah. Was it because you were really insanely good at arguing? Maybe with her?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
But probably. I mean, I probably would have made a great attorney, but I probably also would have killed someone and end up in prison. So there's that.
I would have made an awful attorney, and I know that for a fact. That's not who I am. But I guess I was just really good at arguing with all those hormones flying around. You make a good point. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the path for me was supposed to be. And it didn't quite get there. I bounced around through a few schools. I had gone to a Catholic university at one point on scholarship because that's what we needed. And I realized how unhappy I was when I was kind of singled out in this one class that I was taking. And it was me and 20 guys in the class. And the teacher made some sort of comment, and I don't remember exactly what it was right now, but it was something to the fact like women don't belong here. You kind of belong in the kitchen. It's like, wow.
Catholic Texas.
Yeah. This school is no longer for me. It's a great school, but the track that I was on, just it wasn't me. And some of that grit, I just didn't have it in me to fight that battle. So I got out and took not the easy way out, because nothing's really easy, but
yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't call finance easy, but go ahead.
No, well, the finance part was, so I ended up I got a job at a law firm as a receptionist and kind of a file clerk. And I would do this and do that and kind of do everything, which was a great way to learn what I'm going to call the systems, because really everything are systems in our life. This one was the office system, and you learn the politics and you learn kind of everything there. And I came to the realization after 8 years or so that they were not going to promote me to an attorney. I never went to law school, so why would they? But so I decided, you know what, I'm out. I'm going to bounce here, and that's how I really got into finance, because my younger sister at that point was working at a local firm, and she said, "Hey, why don't you come over and work with me? It's a lot of fun." And I don't remember. Do you have siblings?
Yes, but I don't. But I have little to do with them. 5 much older siblings.
Well, and that's kind of what I was going to say. If you have siblings, working with a sibling could really go either way at this point. But it was a risk I was willing to take. So that's how.
If I had it, and I'll try to make this brief. If I didn't have the influence of especially my older brothers, it really served me well in finance, but it ultimately, became more abusive, and that's why I had to separate. But I am grateful. I'm convinced I'm still in finance because of my 3 older brothers.
Yeah, you can pick your career, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. Is kind of the way I've always put that one.
Apparently, my soul did, though, so we won't go there. So you are in finance. You're pushing 30?
I am pushing. Pushing 21 years, 2005.
No, but I mean, when you walked away from the law firm and you went into finance with your sister, you're pushing 30 at this point?
Yeah, pushing 30. Yep.
Okay. Still single?
I was married at that point, which is that is for drinks and a whole other podcast. Maybe even a Valium, but that's fine.
Yeah. I got one of those. So, were you married ultimately twice then? Was this a first marriage?
Yeah, that was the first marriage. And kind of the way I equate it is going back to the system. It's what the system tells us to do. The system has certain things in life, the milestones that you're expected to meet. And when you're young and you're a female, it's like you think that's what you have to do. And so here I am. Here I was.
See, this is how I got trapped, and I haven't thought about it. You make me want. I'm like, for all intents and purposes, we are sitting in a bar. I at 22 told my ex what I didn't want. I didn't want to get married. I wanted to build my career. I wanted to wait, and all that stuff just fired this man up. I mean, I was so naive. I mean, it was everything I said, just made him want it more, or want me more, or want what I wanted to do. He wanted to hook his cart to me, so there's that. There's that angle too.
Yeah, it's that chase.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're now working for a firm administratively?
Yeah, so I came on as an assistant. Looking back, I wouldn't have hired myself because I was a hot fucking mess when it came to finance. I mean, I was so much of a train wreck. Like, I don't even know as a professional now, like, I don't even know where I would start to help myself, kind of thing. And then it felt like such a fraud because here I was with a lot of debt, working as much as I could in that same trap that I watched my mom in, with the spending and stuff. And trying to figure out a whole lot of things. And I felt like a fraud sometimes when I was talking to clients because they have all this money and here I am, broke as broke can be, only 27. So you got to put that one into perspective, but it made me really think, I got to get my shit together. I've got to relearn how to undo some of these negative financial habits that I've learned growing up. Things like it's not normal to put a horse on a credit card. Here's what you don't do with your money. And it's helped me really kind of see the whole story in people, which I really, truly appreciate.
So at what point was the click from I want to get licensed, from administration to wanting to get licensed?
I had to get licensed right away.
Oh.
I had to get licensed right away because I was helping to enter trades and speaking with clients. And so, and you're expected to earn your own, earn your keep, so to speak. So it was fun though. A challenge. I had literally never even ever taken an accounting class in my entire life. So it was, it was sink or swim, baby. Sink or swim.
What'd they have you get, the 6 or the 7?
I got the 7.
Okay.
Yeah, the 7.
Fantastic.
And then the 66 and then the insurance. And then I'm like, oh, hell, why am I going to stop here? So I got my CFP. I started down the road of the CFA and realized this is not for me at all. So, nah.
Yeah, I had considered the CFP at one point, and I have an acronym for the CFP.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know if it'll offend you or not.
Yeah, nothing does.
I call it the BFD.
Yeah.
Did I offend you?
No.
I opted to get my master's. I wanted to study other things, and I opted to get my master's. And I did. I got the materials. I opted to take the first exam without studying. I missed it by a pubic hair, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it is valued. It's essentially 6 college courses, and it is important. As far our industry has made it very important. How about can we agree on that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a revenue machine and definitely gives advisors a leg up in some cases.
Yeah, it's considered a gold standard, so to speak, and any gold standard is kind of worth its own weight. So it's what you put into it and the people behind it, but it's a system.
Yeah, and ultimately, a lot of CFPs end up in the background, which I think is an important aspect. If they don't do well on the front lines, if they don't do well selling, very often you have an extra educated person making sure the train's on the tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
somebody's got to keep it. Somebody's got to keep us from derailing.
Yeah, there you go. So how are we doing on time, Mr. Brian? 45 minutes. All right, we got about 5 more minutes on this. So at what point I'm trying to do the podcast, and I'm finding my brain wanting to ask curiosity questions. So when they, because I was the branch manager's assistant for a year and a half before he put me into training, and then the license processes started. But it was 92, 3, 4, 94-ish. Mm-hmm. So you have that decade. So you come into the business, they want you to get licensed. Were you maintaining house accounts, or were you actually getting your own business?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
So was the goal for you to move away from administration once you had your practice where you could, step away from an admin, or describe that?
I think it was a little bit of a hybrid, because one of the big trends right now in our industry, because we are aging out, so to speak, is finding your plan, your succession plan. So originally, I came in as part of a succession plan, but knowing that I could build my own business, build my own clients, and at some point become my own advisor.
Okay, cool. And then you were with that particular firm for a number of years, right?
Yeah.
You stayed there, trying to think, you said you were pushing 30 or 47. So you were there for how many years?
20 years.
Wow.
It was good. It was, and I'm extremely thankful for my time there, because I learned so much. You learn the ropes, you learn the systems, a lot of laughs, a lot of, I will say that I don't know how it was when you got into the industry, but a lot of my mentors would laugh and talk about the whole smiling and dialing for dollars, and the whole like Will Smith Pursuit of Happiness type learning lessons that they had. So it was a great time and a great experience, and learning the ropes and learning the industry.
Yeah, I had one. I had one distinct mentor, and I firmly believe if I hadn't had him, I wouldn't still be in finance. And he had a way of educating me. He would ask me questions that would help me. He asked me one time, and I thought of this morning when I was reading your notes. He asked me one time, we had an office of probably, it was Shearson, 25 people. Mm-hmm. That's a guess. I don't really remember. But he would ask me whose method of operation I appreciated. And he would, it was a time in the business where you could sell off your A shares and buy B shares, if you know what smell what I'm stepping in. Yeah. You could get away with a lot. Yeah. So, and there was
not,
huh?
This is like the Wild West.
Yeah, and and that it was not illegal. There was no problem in doing that. So he had a way of making me watch how people ran their businesses, mm-hmm. so that I could formulate, where the business was ultimately going regulation-wise. But he was just ahead of that, making me think about it. And I shared, I don't know if I shared with you, but I shared it on the podcast. He ended up, when I went into the consulting track, he ended up taking his life. So it was a really sort of interesting thing that happened. Yeah. So, okay. So we're at this firm for 20 years. Yep. And they were a firm that was more independent or more corporate oriented?
It's not a huge firm. So I guess it's more independent.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Why don't we stop this, talk for a minute, and start the second episode?
Sounds good.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. Jai Ma.